Hey everyone, welcome to the BetSperts Golf RBC Heritage Betting Preview. I'm Ryan Noonan, excited to be joined by, excuse me, Andy Molitor at the top. Andy, what's going on, bud?
Water? I got some water for you.
Yeah,
no, it's good. I still got Magnolia Lane. I don't care. I don't
good for you.
It's too pretty. Like, whatever. It's a good background. I'm leaving it. I don't care at this point. I'm still lamenting a few things back there. What could have been if Rory had any decent rounds besides the last one. But no, it was a fun week. I thoroughly enjoy that tournament. Obviously, kind of goes without saying, like, oh, Andy, you like the Super Bowl, huh? No big deal. But again, there's some bad golf tournaments coming up. So I like this one quite a bit as far as what's between here and the next major. This is one of my favorites every year as far as just a nice course. So excited to get betting on this one.
Me too. You weren't feeling well this weekend. Were you able to get some more TV time? Were you able to like milk that a little bit for some extra, Masters coverage, some ESPN Plus? Let the girls run around and bring you some treats and keep you fresh?
that was the worst part. Like I'd already set all the groundwork to just not do anything anyway. So it's not like I gained anything. It just kind of felt poopy. So no, but I did just seriously lay in bed and watch golf for a long time. Even the replays a couple times, like, I could watch part of this round again. What, are you just going to show it to me again?
Jeff, you're already laid up. Are you joining us as always? Your favorite golf tout, Jeff Feinberg from the Mayo Media Network. How was the Masters for you, buddy?
Yeah, everyone in my orbit is sort of getting, sick and tired of me being laid up. It's been a long time, so I kind of feel for them. But even like my 5-year-old, I should say, is getting, she's already giving me attitude, like having to help me now. It's been long enough, so, whatever. As for the Masters, big swing and a miss, and you kind of can feel really silly because it felt in the end, the results kind of feel pretty obvious. Cam Smith and Scottie Scheffler being the two really elite players that you went into Sunday thinking you could cash something with. And maybe the two most consistent players on tour have been Connors and Lowry. And there's certainly opportunities with their numbers to do something in placing markets or other prop markets and DFS up the wazoo, ignoring concerns with ownership. And if you did anything kind of contrarian, you got. Like Andy, I had money on Rory, but I think the fact that I bet Rory in many ways shows how much I was off on the event, which, if you read the YouTube comments on my show with Mayo, they'll let you know how dumb I am, but, how I ever could get anything right. But, because the final score, like, you don't bet Rory to win the Masters thinking that's going to be the final score. You bet Rory to win the Masters thinking he's going to be able to do that for like 2.5 days, or at least 2 days, and 1 day is like the first for like a total. Just hold on, don't lose the tournament on day one, because Justin gave us those great Rory day one, day two splits. Yeah. And then going forward, I guess my thoughts are like Andy's. The next major will be here soon, so don't worry, Andy. The new schedule's set up because you probably don't remember the old one. These things really do piggyback, with the one a month, like kind of get right into it. We'll almost feel like we're there in a couple of weeks. But Scheffler doing what he did, Cam Smith doing what he did. It's going to be a major where I feel like the board can look more like the Players' Championship, in the sense that it's far more wide open. Phil freaking won it last year. The field is bigger. There's more of a wild card element. There's not the course history. Well, some guys really love the course, and other, it's not the Masters in terms of a course history to fall back on. And you're really going to get to see some hopefully nice numbers. And like I started that with Scottie and Cam Smith, again, cementing their place probably significantly ahead of a lot of players. I'll probably lose a lot of money on that event too.
Yeah, it was so easy to like sit there and have hindsight analysis and go, yeah, I mean, this is the two, I don't say the two best players in the world, but definitely the two hottest players in the world over the last 2-3 months. And, here they are, kind of a two-man race heading into the weekend. And obviously things changed with the way Cam Smith played on Sunday and with the way that, Rory emerged. But yeah, obviously easy to feel like you're just kind of lost not having those guys on your card because it's just slapped you in the face. I mean, we talked about like, it was just, can he really do this? Like, is this the guy? And we know the pedigree was there for Scotty, but is he a 3 and 5 week kind of guy? Is he a 4 with one of them being a green jacket? Like, he sure as hell is now. So it's easy to have hindsight analysis.
No shitty events. Like, you make
Correct.
any comparison, not to compare to anybody, but even Mayo and I were talking, like, just the other, like, he didn't win the Valero in there or even the Valspar. Like, no,
even Vic in the swing season, right? Like,
he won premier events. Even Phoenix has taken its place as a pretty great place to win. And, no win has probably changed its relevance in the last like 5 years than Phoenix. I'm not even talking about the party atmosphere. It's just become a well-respected events. And they even showed, if you did field strength on the entire year, him and Cam Smith had won every event. The top 6 field strength event wins this year go to 2 guys. I
don't know how we, a field strength is probably the best way to evaluate it, but it does seem like some events are poop, like, oh, he just won this one. Like, no, it's still, I don't care. The field strength is for sure a thing, and the majors are always going to be up there. The players, some of the ones with big purses, but I mean, even to just win any events, non-alt events in this amount of time, like if he'd have won the 4 worst events of the calendar year, or even the, going back to like Zozo and stuff, if he won Zozo,
remember how we treated Brendan Todd when he won 2 weeks in a row and making jokes like SI Sportsman of the Year, and he was doing it in the swing season, like any events.
Yeah, but from like January, even maybe let's toss out Hawaii. But once you hit that California coast, pick the worst 4 events. Throw out the Masters, throw out the Players. If you win 4 events in that section, I don't give a shit which ones they are. That's amazing, and obviously his accomplishment is 3-4 steps up from that because of the competition he beat, and obviously the jacket is a huge cherry on top. It does. There's a lot of hindsight, and like Jeff and you said, as far as that, I think I just kind of painted myself into a corner by all my friends took those early numbers on Scotty.
I know.
And I didn't. I felt like, man, everyone got 35. So am I going to seriously sit here and bet at 16? And the answer was, yeah, probably should have. And eventually I got out of that funk. I took a Corey Connors live because I said, you know what? I didn't get the best Corey number, but I'm going to stop doing that. If I think he can win right now and I like his tee time, I'm going to bet him Friday morning. Obviously it didn't work out, but I still like the position. So,
yeah, Jeff,
value is so hard to evaluate sometimes.
Jeff, I think you talked about it maybe a couple weeks ago where I'm trying to be better with that too, where it's like, I'm trying to maybe divorce myself from the best of the number, or, knowing that I lost, a future number in this instance in the Masters.
This is a great week.
Yeah.
To bring that up, because it's like, there are 2 players in particular, as just a quick fast forward to the Heritage.
Yeah. The
Kevin Kisner thing. I didn't bet him, but it's and Kevin not, because there were 70s out there out of the gate. Now they're essentially 50, 55 might be the best. On Sunday, if you've now I need water.
Hey, we've all been there.
At least he didn't have to get.
Sorry, I got really excited. On Sunday, if Kisner's leading or in the hunt, do you think the guy at 50-1 is going to carry didn't get the 70? Like, he's not. But at the same time, you have to like the guy. You have to think he's going to win to still like want to make the bet. So, the guy at 70 will be thrilled, but the guy sitting on his 50 is going to think he's on a as fire a tick. He's going to be super fired. He's sitting on a 50-1. So, yeah, you can overrate it, but you can also argue it any sort of which way. If that was filling in on what you were gonna say here, Ryan.
No, it's totally it, because it's like
it's harder than a daily market. Like,
yeah,
it's a much harder market Just the flow of the market, it's super hard to evaluate compared to like if you bet baseball or ice hockey or NBA or college basketball every day, you kind of understand, even at NFL to a certain extent, because of the way a week flows. You understand, like, here's when the soft numbers come out, here's when maybe the limits go up and some people start really betting into it, and you'll see numbers change. And like, I know if I want this, I'm going to wait till here. Like, there's just market entry points that are easier to identify if you do it every day with those daily betting sports. Where golf outrights, it's not the same. I think, I don't want to ever say like, hey, guess what, take the worst of the number, but I think a lot of times you have to treat it completely differently than like a normal, a two-way betting market on a single event, like a team sport. And I think maybe I would have just had some Scotty, because it was like, Christ, we all talked about him last week. It's like, Jesus, he's good, and he's just not stopping being good. Cam too.
Both of them.
Feel like
and all of it. Like, I think if I would have bet Justin Thomas or Rahm instead, it was so wrong, and it makes you feel like I enjoy listen, I was able to thoroughly enjoy it, because it's a lot harder to have enjoyed the moments when it's that guy that I almost bet on, or like, if I'd one or two more bets, I for sure, like, that was the guy I was deciding between. I know Mayo was like lamenting, like he was deciding between Hatton and Lowry, and then it's like Lowry that ends up making that push, or almost. Obviously, in the end, it's not worth anything. But those are the ones that hurt, not almost when it's the guy you never think, like, really we're going to bet. But this one, there's an element of like, what are you doing here? Like, how deep into the forest are we doing this week in, week out, that I didn't even consider it? And to be fair, I didn't consider Cam Smith that much, despite the course history. And it's like, sometimes you get God, I don't know. And I totally got on this year's Masters. And I also didn't expect it. Maybe it's because I made bets earlier in the week, but I didn't expect the weather to play nearly as hard. So, I was a nothing burger for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I think also the frustrating part for me too is that I was betting into that range. So even though the Scotty number was a dead number, theoretically, right, in terms of knowing, that there are people that we know that had 30s and whatever, 25s, but I'm betting the 16 on DJ, and I'm betting it 20 on Koepka. So like, I'm not even avoiding the price range. I'm firing at people in that same range, and just completely avoided, the best player, hottest player in the world right now. So it was a tough one. Our friends at FanDuel are, offering these incredible finishing position parlays, and they helped me make it a profitable weekend, because even though and they're doing it again, they're going to kill me, but it wasn't a complete wash for me, but it's a fun market.
And I guess in closing, I have spent my entire time betting golf fading like a really hot player before these events. And not to say I hit winners in this event, but it's never really burned, before, like DJ winning the Masters at 8-1. Like, I love DJ. That was great to see. So I've always just had these thoughts that these wins are so finite. So it's even, you sit back and it's crazy what he's doing, and it sucks, because I love betting these events. And as we've mentioned, two guys have bet the events that I've probably bet the hardest, and it's going to lead to a lot of swing and missing. Ryan, going inside baseball, one of the first times we spoke around Phoenix, I was like betting Scotty Scheffler, and then I pulled like back because I'm like, nah, he's too popular. And honestly, since then, I bet some loser like Xander that week. I'm telling you, I guarantee it. And he's just been out of this world, and who knows when it ends. But what can you do? You gonna bet on him now? I doubt it. You're gonna bet on, and now Ryan Palmer's screwed. Ryan Palmer's gonna be the guy that brings down Scotty Scheffler. What is Scotty Scheffler? You don't want anyone hitting a ball that belongs to Scotty Scheffler. Now Scotty Scheffler doesn't win the freaking Zurich. It's going to be Ryan Palmer's fault. Not as good of a spot to be in as we might have thought a few weeks ago.
No, I'll preview the Zurich. It's his own interesting events coming up next week too. Yeah, I miss Scotty. I'm looking back. I had Scotty top 5 at Phoenix, but I went heavy on JT and Connors, and again, here we are. When you have a top 5 ticket and you don't take the guy outright, those are almost as painful. To be honest, like that's just like I was there. I made the handicap correct. I just didn't have the stones to pull the trigger. So, all right. Reminder: we are here obviously on YouTube every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Also available in podcast form on Spotify and on Apple as well. So subscribe, rate, and review helps us quite a bit. BetSpertsGolf.com subscriptions are marked down 50% off, $99.99 for the year. Continuing to add lots of new stuff each and every week. DFS Optimizer on there too if you were playing DFS. DFS show comes on here on the same channel, the BetSperts YouTube channel at 3 p.m. Eastern. Hang out with us for that same feed for the podcast. So
different Geoff, same spelling.
Yes, another Canadian Geoff. Jeff Ulrich is joining us on the DFS show this afternoon. So former DraftKings friend of mine from back in the day, very sharp golf guy. So Andy, RBC Heritage. This is a fun one. We're excited about it. This is another Pete Dye track. We have numerous Pete Dye tracks in the rotation. It is it's unique. I think it's going to be an interesting card. We have, I think, 11 of the top 20 in the world. We have 25 of the top 50. This is a pretty strong field in terms of what we've seen here in years past. They're not far from Augusta, just driving a little bit over to Hilton Head Islands. I was there about a month ago, and couldn't get a tee time here because they were all booked up, which is very frustrating. But I don't know if I wanted to play it because I would not want to spend, $4 to put up triple digits at a place like this. But Harbour Town loaded.
Just hit it straight. Stay out of the trees. Get there in 2-3 putts. You'll crack 90.
I'm a grip it and rip it guy.
Well, and then just when you get to the last couple holes, just take it easy. Lay up, Ryan. Like don't go. We're not shooting for the lighthouse with your game, but no, it is a really cool course. I like it because again, I talked to somebody about this the other day. If you drop somebody on one of the beginning holes, and then you blindfolded him and dropped him on like 18, you'd be certain you're on 2 different golf courses. It's you're in the woods, man. It's Parkland, and then you get out there and it's beautiful. You have beautiful coastal finishing holes. It's tough. It's a lot of difficulty there. It's a 71 shorter, but 71 because it's shorter. And again, the driving stuff has been a big talking point this week. Talked to a few people here, and I don't know. I'm not 100% bought in on the driving accuracy this week. I looked at it a bunch yesterday, and then somebody kind of confirmed my priors for me in a chat today, saying there is something to the rough not being so long here, and maybe it's not as penal in the last few years, which was nice to see because that's kind of what I was looking for. I made a comment to somebody about that as far as driving accuracy, and this is something I want to dig into more when I get more time, but it's starting to feel like some of these stats that are super binary are getting used a little heavily, where missing the fairway. You can miss the fairway, and then you can miss the fairway. And those two things I just said with the different accent in my voice are not the same. Or you just miss the fairway here, you have a lot of opportunities for nice second shots out of the short rough. But you put this out in the woods on some of these holes, you're going to have a hell of a time. You're punching out, or later in the round, or I think there's 9 water holes. You miss the fairway because it's in water. That's a whole different cat. So I don't know if I'm super high weighting accuracy and down weighting length, as you see a lot of people doing here. I'm not going to just say I need bombers and gougers. That's not the key to this, but I think length is still going to help you here if you can keep it within, a certain range. So really, really, and again, every week, same thing, fucking second shot golf. It is, because the greens are tiny. It is just you go find yourself, and even Ron did a great job of this our guy PGA Splits 101 in his preview article. It was something about 3-putt avoidance. I believe he just said, like, hey, guess what? It's a great place for 3-putt avoidance because the greens are tiny. If you're putting, it means you're on the green. And if you're on this tiny green, you're likely not 150 feet away. They're so small, like the odds of having to lag 100-footer up there and 2-putting from there are so low. So some of those stats, take them with a grain of salt based on how this course is set up. And that was an interesting point by him. So,
Yeah.
And after all that, it's Russell Henley week.
Well, there's a lot of less than driver. There are a lot of forced layups.
Yes.
So you do find yourself with, pretty big bucket of approach shots from the 150 to 200 range. But I think the one thing here is if you look at like Stuart Sink last year, he was barely over 50% on fairways. But like, I think accuracy, we always go to like fairways found off the tee, but accuracy can be more of that, like shot shaping, be able to like, make second shots accurately. So it's like leaving yourself opportunistic approaches and angles in there, accuracy off like target golf more so than fairways found, because that caught me off guard too, thinking like, all right, Stuart Sink won here last year. I'm guessing he just went, fairway green and, made some putts, but he did not find many fairways. And to your point, Andy, he probably just missed a bunch of fairways. But if you look at his accuracy off the tee, he was like 53% or something for the week. So, Geoff, lots of guys here. We got, like I said, the 11 of the top 20. How do we handle some of the guys? I guess, do you have a lean on like Masters, no Masters, or how are you handling, I guess, the top of the board here? JT, Morikawa, Cam still in the field, DJ and Cantley are kind of the top tier guys. What are your thoughts here as we get started on the week?
So I haven't made a bet yet in front of 30-1, and we can get to that. And all three of those players did play in the Masters. So take that for what it is worth. I hate the field being as strong as it is, to be honest. I was really disappointed to wake up and see Morikawa and JT here. Maybe that creates better opportunities. Hopefully it does. It scares you to think, things are starting to set up for Morikawa on a course narrative-wise that you could argue is perfect for Morikawa. I agree with the overall sentiment on the distance. I feel like people would change that opinion had, say, like Bryson's finished second here, DJ's finished second here. Had either of those guys gone on to win those events, maybe people would look at it different. That being said, you do look at the past winners, last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. It's all like sometimes I like courses we get to that we've been to historically year in, year out. You can learn a lot from that. And that is a prototypical player that seems to a prototypical player profile that seems to win here historically. And a lot of the bets I've seen this week, and even maybe one or two of mine, are names that, like, if you just dropped it onto that list of past winners, he'd fit right in.
It is. I do wish that it wasn't such a strong field. I wish we had basically eliminated that entire top tier. I feel so much better about what we'd be looking at, because there are a lot of guys that I think fit what we think as far as, like you're talking about, Geoff, with like the player archetype here. And then we also look at, I think 3 of the last 4, as you mentioned, they're like 80 and above, just kind of bombs. So
but the thing is, it's been a really deep diving it. It's actually been in like the 6-7 year sample, Ryan. It's been the total package. We've had deep bombs. Those have come recently. We've also had chalk win here. Furyk and Kuchar and like the under 20-1s have won here, and Webb at like 20-1. And we've also had that range that most people, at least that I like to sort of create that card in, that Brandon Grace at 40-45 and the Wes Bryant like 60-70 to 1. So it has kind of been a total choose your adventure. But one thing they all seem to have in common is they don't try to overpower a course. That being said, I do believe, if Bryson was healthy, he'd probably be here. And we saw him try to do it a couple of years ago. Like, there is a way, like if DJ really wants to, like there are angles those guys can really try to take that I do believe could work here, but history hasn't put them in the winner's circle.
Are our brains just straight up broken, Jeff, on this pricing thing? Like we have this, I have it too. It's like this weird Goldilocks thing where it's like, these guys are kind of short. 16-1 doesn't pay the bills. But then you get to a certain point where it's like, oh man, once I get above like 70 or 80, those are like pizza bets. Like there's that like 35 to 70 range. It just feels like it's all right. This is enough money if I win, but also it feels like a guy that can actually win the tournament. There's something safe about that range. I don't know what it is.
Perfect.
I'm just gonna bet the 5 top guys on the board. Fuck it, I'm done with this.
And that's the range I normally bet, and I guess been lucky enough to hit. I don't know. I'll go to any part of the board, but I guess like the question for Ryan, like this here, like I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Ryan, because you could have willpower I don't have. You bet Dustin Johnson last week.
I did.
He did not play horrible. He played fine. There were probably moments early to think he's right where he kind of needed to be. Obviously, 1 or 2 guys ran away. He's now the same number. I know it's like every event is its own reasoning, and we argue like the Masters numbers is their own thing because the books are smart enough to know how finite the winner's circle is, and this one is a history of long shot, so it kind of changes that whole dynamic of what is like true or fair, if it ever is fair. But another part of you, like, how do I not? Or it's just like I gotta just ignore that whole part of the board.
He's even longer. There's like 20s on DJ, which is like I got him at 16 at the Masters. It's hard. Like the couple of the guys that I also wanted to take a look at have shrunk into that with like the Fitzpatrick and Lowry. Like Fitzpatrick and Lowry are the same price as DJ. It's like that's giving me pause to bet any of them. I'm like frozen by the numbers here because I want to bet. I love the form of both those 2 guys. I love how they're striking the ball, and now they're the same number as the guy that I picked to win the Masters, the shortest play I took on the Masters last week, and he played well. So like, you're right. That's kind of where I'm at.
Well here historically.
Right.
And people can debate his desire for this event. Like, is he just forced to be there?
That's the narrative you hear. It's like,
but he's played well here. He's finished second. I think if he gets off to a good start, every event's worth $1 million. He has not won in a long time, Andy.
Yes.
Like that's not to say like I don't think it bothers him like it bothers Xander Schauffele.
Nothing
like
bothers
any
he's unbothered.
Like he's unbothered. But it's also, correct me if I'm wrong, Hilton Head, South Carolina. He's a South Carolina guy. This would be a win. I think he wouldn't mind checking off more than people might want to give him credit for. Right. I've seen some like 2021s. Let's
there's a 23 at BetCris right
That's
now. Like
Dustin Johnson, man.
I'm
gonna play this event at like 11-1.
So, and the sponsorship thing, and if people don't know, we're talking like he is an RBC steward or like
whatever. He's come to Canada. He's won the RBC Canadian Open.
He's part of their team. And basically, he's paid to be a RBC guy, and so he has to play here. It's not one of the ones he can skip. And people push that narrative like, he doesn't even want to be. Did you talk to him? What are you hanging? Are your girls hanging out? Your girl hangs out.
How many miscuts does he have here? How many times has he just because the event's always like? How many times has he just decided I need to pack it up after the Masters? That would be the indicative of if he cares, and that doesn't seem to be the record. It's a slew of top tens, isn't it?
Well, and that's the other part of this. Like, I almost go the other way, and maybe that's just because I'm a polite person. But if I had to be there because they're my sponsor, I would try not to embarrass my sponsor by playing poorly at the event with the name on it. Like, it wouldn't be like, I have to be here. I'm going to half-ass it. I'm Dustin Johnson. I'm going to go on my boat now. Like, I would go full on the other way. I don't know.
He's a hard guy to read, but a lot of that, Andy, like the golf betting narrative, it's like it's responsibilities. He's got to like do a glad hand dinner or something. I'm not sure, but Dustin.
Oh.
Anyhow, I'm getting tempted. It would really change how I'd want to build my card, and maybe it wouldn't allow me to build up some of the names that I want to talk to, get your guys' opinion on in sort of that 50 to 70 range. But I don't know, man. It doesn't seem Yeah, I don't know, over 20. That like
Yeah.
I said last week, it seemed like he was the guy that was trend like peaking at the moment. Maybe he just mistimed it, and like this is the absolute jump off point. To your other guys, Ryan, though, Fitz and Lowry, I like them both a lot. They're kind of hard to decipher between. You almost feel
Agreed.
like maybe it's Fitz's turn. Like Lowry's had some real good turns. Maybe now it's Fitz's turn. And there are very few players that I want to play the mental fatigue card for the Masters with. Lowry and Cam Smith might be the only two. I can get burned by that, but I haven't written him off either. I think it's like I could maybe make that bet. But in that discussion, I do feel Corey Connors getting like totally forgotten in that people are just so hyper focused, at least in what I've seen in Lowry or Fitz, and they're kind of just passing right over Connors, who I think is doing and done maybe many of the exact same things as the
I was going to ask about Connors too, because I think he would be another guy that I'd put in the bucket of mental fatigue, right? He went long at the match play. It comes in and, goes long in Texas and then right into the Masters too. So I'm doing that with Lowry, which I get. He tasted, I guess, maybe a little bit more smoke. But again, they were both right there in the mix. Can you make a case for Connors being in that same bucket from a fatigue standpoint?
I don't know. You maybe just, like I said, we said last week, they both played great. Lowry and Connors for not being either like, I don't know whether it be like, I don't know what the right way to explain it is, but if two players that we just held to a higher tier, and they're both very well respected players, were statistically playing like those two, I think we'd be losing our minds with, and so they're playing as good as anybody, those two that aren't Cam Smith and Scotty Scheffler, kind of in some ways, in my opinion. I haven't been able to pull the trigger on anything under 30-1 though.
Yeah, and that's where I'm kind of frozen now too, because of I love those three, and then now DJ is kind of fallen back into that mix, and it's like, gosh, I don't have anything under 30 either, and I don't know what to do with it because I like Morikawa is interesting, but I kind of want to just leave that entire top tier alone. I chased Morikawa here last year, kind of fell apart there on Sunday, but again, like I liked some of the stuff that he was saying heading into last week. And I think we saw him be rewarded for playing his game and finishing inside the top 10 at Augusta after kind of being frustrated about how he felt that he was forced to play in the first couple iterations there. So yeah, it's a tough little,
and he was in the final group last year versus Sink. So it's a tough
little tier. Andy, have you fired at anything at the top here?
Morikawa, I think sometimes we get stuck in these things of, hey, guess what? He's an elite irons player. Everybody goes through things. Sometimes it's people going through personal issues, or they have a slight injury that we don't have injury reports like we have other sports. Like, I don't know what it is with Morikawa, but his long irons play is shit compared to where he should be, where he has been. If you look at a big sample size of him from like 150 on out proximity, he's the best. He's the best. You go look at like basically his whole, most of his career since he's been up, where he's won majors and he's been good. And then you just look at the last 3, the last 5, the last 6, 8, 10 tournaments. It's not been to his level. And if he loses that part of his game, I mean, it's not like it brings him down to the middle of the pack, but he's not at a spot where he can win, I don't think. So I have Morikawa off until I see that, which it'll be, when he fixes it, he'll probably win, and it'll be funny because I'll have 9 outrights that week. But I just, right now looking at his second shots are just it's not up to snuff, especially from longer range. He's still very good if he has a great tee shot and he only has to hit it 100, 120 yards, like, he's just going to put it where he wants. But some of his longer stuff has been a little off. I don't know if he's trying some things, or again, you never know with some of these golfers why, but I know it is happening, and I'm off him. Corey at 28, probably a play. I don't care. It's one of those things too. I'm starting to throw all this stuff out where it's like, oh, he's too short, or everybody's on him, Geoff. That's burnt me too. Like you talked about at the Amex, or excuse me, the Waste Management. Everybody's on them thing. It's like, no, I'm joining the party. If I think the number's right and there's an available price and I think this guy can win, I don't care if he's Twitter mushed or the whole world bet him. Like, I might just bet Corey Connors because my number's sussing out. He's playing well. I'm not a big fatigue guy. And again, it's a good course for his skill set, and everything I'm putting together says so. So there's 25s. I don't like that a lot, but if there was a rogue 30, that's getting eaten up for sure. And I've just found a 28.99. If you guess what that is, but it's not 29, but it's damn close.
It's pretty close. Might be as close as you get to 30. Yeah, no, I mean, I learned. I don't want to say learn one event can make me learn the lesson. A guy being popular, especially a guy at like 22-1. That just means he's a really good player. That's a lot different than like the 80-1 player being really popular. That's almost never a good sign. That being said, I think it's more about everyone might be on a guy, but it's like who is on the guy. Now that sounds silly because I said everybody, but like if a lot of people are on a guy, it can turn me off. But now it's like if some of the people that like you respect and you really like their opinion, then it almost doesn't matter what other people are doing. Like not everybody is the same. If that makes any sense. Some people's should be weighted maybe more than others, I guess.
No, that's a good point. It's a good point too about popular at the top versus popular down the board. It's probably should be looked at through a different lens and maybe doesn't affect itself in the betting market as much as obviously in DFS where we're worried about ownership or cumulative ownership. It is somewhat irrelevant as far as the betting market. How about we move into the second tier?
The only way that affects you is if you're just the last guy to the party and Corey Connors gets bet down to 20.
That's
it doesn't matter if a bunch of people are on him if the market is still giving you a decent number.
Would have worked for us last week. We would have all been holding Scotty tickets. So
yeah, I know. Shit, God damn it.
The top bet that I made so far was I took Berger at 30 because that's just, again, he's a guy that I bet often, and if it's a place that I think fits his game, he's just a guy that I like to bet. A guy that I think belongs in that upper tier. Did not play great Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Augusta. But again, I just like his game. When we talk about target golf, this is why he was a good play at Sawgrass because it's not just the accuracy off the tee. It's just, he kind of, I think maybe it was Data Golf. I think someone did a really good piece about how he off the tee has done a good job of basically eliminating misses off of one side and has just really found a way to set himself up for good second shot. So that is like down to 18 on DraftKings, but they are an outlier in the market. There's still a bunch of upper 20s on Berger. Jeff, anything? I know you're a Berger guy too. Have you caught anything here in the 30 to 50 range?
So I played Berger.
Yes.
As well. Like you bet him a lot. Just felt like a fair number. I know last time we really hyped Berger up here, we cost Andy some money. Didn't even get out of his pod at match play.
Yeah, it was match play, wasn't it? Where it's like, fuck, you got me hyped up. Now that's in my head. Now I can't bet him.
I just, like you said, the event, the field, the course, there are a lot of things. I'm not really gonna overrate much of the weekend at the Masters. I've also bet Neiman. I bet Neiman, I think it was 35-36 to 1. I don't know. I just like playing maybe the ceiling play versus the majority of the field. It felt right. And I made both those bets over Sung JM, who is also tempting me in kind of that exact same range at the moment. 40 on DraftKings for Sanjay. Folks are interested there. Andy, anything here in this range for you? We talked about Kisner at the top, and Kisner and Na have kind of fallen into this range. They did not open the week there. Again, you have Jordan Spieth, who, again, just with bad form would always T20 at the Masters and could not get it together last week. Hatton was a guy that we were on last week. I think he's going to be without his caddy this week, who's dealing with a knee injury. So someone new on the bag for Hatton. And again, obviously Sanjay
nice 4 rounds at Augusta. Anyone here in this range pop to you, or what are some of the first bets that I think that you fired on?
Yeah, Sungjae's my jam. I don't know if he'll score well here. I kind of have him downgraded for that. Made some of all the bets I lost last week. Sungjae wasn't one of them. We had him top Asian. That felt good. Sometimes I get in my head too on that because it's like I cashed that on Saturday, and then Minwoo Lee is like scorched earth on the front 9 side. I'm like, God damn it. Can I not have nice things? But he's definitely up there. I'm not even looking at the odds right now. I'm just looking at some people that are falling. Once I get out of I like some top guys. I like Lowry. I like Henley. I like Connors. I like DJ. And then from there it gets real. And Neiman a little too. Jeff a little shine there. I like the Neiman look if I can find the right number. But then from there it's probably taking the amount of money I put on one of those guys and splitting it up 5 ways between some long shots. At that, where it's like, I don't know, like what's the best price you're gonna find on somebody like Mito? Somebody who's popping here is probably 75 to 100. A guy like that. Who was the other one? It was Svensson. That's probably not a bet to win. That's probably a top, but he's a guy who does that.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, I was talking about the guy that's popular at 80 to 1. Now we're talking. Svensson appears to be a guy who's going to be very popular at 300 to 1.
Yeah.
Although I'm not here to
love
any long shot.
Andy, who do you like in the 30 to 60 range? Adam Svensson was not the question that was asked.
Adam Svensson. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think I do. Maybe.
Did you bet him?
Henley is right there. Okay, so Henley is the guy who falls down in there, but the rest of that range, like you can have Kevin Na. He's fine. Not where he's at though. And Spieth, I'm not betting. Billy Horschel, I can't abide by that kind of attitude. Hadwin, I'd have to check on. Yeah. I don't think I would show value. Hatton, I've never been a Hatton guy. I don't know why. He never does well with my numbers. Siwoo, probably not, just based on the things that scared me last week. And then where else we have? Like Noren McNeely. McNeely's an interesting one.
I like.
Yeah, he's the guy I'm looking at a bit. I'm far more intrigued by this range, though. There are a lot of guys that kind of have my attention. McNeely being one of them. Small greens thing. I don't know if he's a Bermuda grass winner, though. That's something. Alex Noren, I think, is a guy that has my attention. Billy Horschel. I'm not betting Billy. I never bet Billy. I probably say that a lot. But that being said, I could make the case some of the numbers I'm seeing on Billy crossing 40, that pound for pound, that might be the most value-based bet on the board. That being said, I don't bet really. Betting outright golf for value seems kind of silly, and we kind of spoke about that a little bit at the top. You never want to get the worst of a number, but yada, yada, yada. Fleetwood, I can't ignore. Seeing like 65s on him. Siwoo, I work with Mayo, and could like not take some action on Siwoo in the Siwoo Classic would kind of feel weird. So yeah, a ton of options. I don't even know if we meant. I know Hadwin was mentioned. So a lot of circling in this range, like the 30 to 70 to 1 range. No, I'm not going to bet all of those guys, but I think a part of me wants to pick like a couple of them. That's for sure.
I love this range. Hadwin's the only other bet that I made besides Berger. We got Hadwin at 66. There are still, I mean, it's down to 50 in a lot of spots, but there are some rogue Franz Vandal, 65 on Hatton out there still. I mean, 3 straight top 10s, ball striking out of his mind. Again, like out of sight, out of mind for a week. And maybe that's been a thing here, but like, I'm surprised that the 60s are still hanging around for Adam Hadwin. But yeah, this is a range that is absolutely loaded. And you can make the same case that Noren is very similar to Hadwin in the sense of like the form heading into, the weeks off was tremendous. And all of a sudden he's back and he's, down there in 50. Jeff, I had another one for you. There's almost double the amount of approach shots from 175 to 200 here versus a field average event. Number 1 in the field on the season in the 175 to 200 range in proximity is 80-1 on DraftKings and has already cashed a winner for us this year at a small course with
the North
small
Dakota
greens. Tommy Two Guns.
Yeah.
Hoagie is 80-1. Jeff.
Yeah, I spoke about this sort of exact scenario with Mayo, and what kind of brought my attention to it was how much like we're making up maybe the narrative just based on Maverick McNeely, because he played very well at both courses last year, and it seems to fit right into the potential Hoagie wheelhouse. So yeah, I like that one potentially a lot. After the players I named, like once we cross 60, the sort of like 60, 70 to 100, there's not much that has my eye, but Hoagie, I've been staring at an 80, and maybe I should have bet it because I don't want to lose it, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, I played T40 last week, again, relative to maybe I think our expectations going into the week when distances, it's hard to putt there. He doesn't putt really well anywhere. So it was good to see him continue kind of holding that form. And now, again, a place where if it's just target golf and ball striking, flat greens, small greens, maybe that's a spot where Hoagie is somewhere I'm comfortable with too. Chris Kirk was a guy that was like uber popular for weeks too, especially in Florida. And now he's kind of in that Hadwin, Coke Rack area, 60s and 55s. And I don't know that I'm betting him outright because I kind of like Hatton and I'd rather almost go down to Hoagie there, but he'll probably find his way under my card somewhere. So it's a loaded range. HV3, Varner's also, he's popping in that range too, the 175 to 200. Can't argue with the form. Strong corollary course with
what's the best number you can see on Herald?
DK 65.
Yeah, that's they've been sitting on that for a while. It's
45.
The only one I can find in that range for sure. But he's someone to tie up for me as well.
Yeah.
Once I get into that whole territory, and you already nailed it, Hoagie's up there. It's again, you asked for 30 to 50, and I just named a bunch of guys that are not there. But Mito, Hoagie, and if you've got I'm not betting Eric Van Rooyen, but there are guys who have skill sets, and Hoagie too, man. If he did it on the POA, imagine him on these nice smooth. This is POA Triv. The Bermuda's overseeded with that. They should roll nice. If he has a good putting day, he should finish high. He's probably a top 20 bet for me for sure, Mr. Hoagie. But man, once you get down out of there, it's just kind of a crapshoot of guys that are popping with way too big of numbers. I'm not betting Hudson Swafford. He can't even keep the heads on his golf clubs.
Not a good look for PXG.
Yeah, God,
that was a tough scene. This is, again, now we're jumping into that bottom of tier into the, 80s to infinity, I guess. I did make another bet here. I did not post it as an official play. This is a weakness of mine. I can't not bet fucking Aaron Wise every single week. He was 180-1 on DraftKings.
That's pretty good.
So
yeah, you're allowed.
Yeah,
I'm not going to give you a hard time for that. I don't think you should. You're allowed to bet that to your heart's content.
Yeah, you just sometimes you take lock on a guy and you anchor to potential. And I don't know, probably one night after one too many gummies or something, catching some collegiate golf on the Golf Channel at 2 a.m. and watching him play pretty well and be like, I'm gonna bet this kid when he gets to the tour. A nice little swing season, coastal course for Aaron Wise. Again, he is maybe the captain of Team No Putt these days because he cannot make a putt. But again, the ball striking is very solid still. So if he can piece it together at all, I can't have him show up and get in the mix and not have a ticket. So
he's still 180-1 over there.
He's 150 on DraftKings. He's 100 everywhere else.
He's on my top 20 list. I'm not betting him to win a tournament with this many names in it, but he's somebody I like quite a bit too. Just imagine him down the stretch tied with DJ, watching him putt those last few holes. I'll happily have the top 20.
I get it.
180 is a big number, though.
It was a big number.
It's 100 across the market for the most part.
That's part of why I did it too. I also just I knew he was going to be at this event, and I knew I was betting him anyway. So I'm just gonna I'm just going to do it. JJ Spawn is 100. Again, like I think he exceeded expectations at the Masters. Again, form is fickle, right? Like you want to chase it until it ends. We have no idea when it ends. We have no idea when it starts. He is in form heading into this event, and there are hundreds out there on JJ Spawn who has been doing it with ball striking, right? I mean, it's been iron play. It's been pretty tremendous. And again, it showed up at a place last week where he made his debut and surprised us all. And he's still out there in a big number down there with, like Seb Strakas and, Munoz and Ian Poulters of the world. And he is obviously playing significantly better than those guys are currently. Does he find the card anywhere as far as a finishing position, or are we just kind of crossing off Spawn and thinking the form ends here and we don't want to be holding the bag?
I have him I have his mean finish position in the 30s.
Okay.
I'll see what his prices are, but I bet him in some matchups at the Masters. I think he caught some steam in the wrong direction after a rough first day, and he ended up doing okay after that. And yeah, he got a win. He has win equity now. So I just I don't have him super high. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's I'm not keen on him being able to score here. I think he's one of those guys. He's around on the weekend, and you don't see a single shot of him.
Jeff, any absolute bombs for you here down in the Aaron Wise range?
Shot the Mito, as mentioned. Even isn't 100-1 still available on Brian Harmon at DraftKings, or did they finally take that down?
It is. It's 100 still. Just that's way off market too.
There's 50s out there, 66s. So that seems like Brian Harmon is literally the type of player whose name would look perfect with the past champions here.
True.
That makes total sense. Yeah, get it. No, I don't know. I mean, if you believe in your putt luck for your just iron disciples like your Gims or your Van Royens, I guess it's funny to see Cameron Tringale's number now. There's 28, 35-1,
Right.
40-1 for some nice event. He's a never bet guy for me. No, I'm gonna have more. I'm just gonna be wasting too much money, sort of 30 to 80. So I'll probably be out of it by the time we get to the 100-1s.
I've cooled on Tringale quite a bit, and not just because of this goddamn DQ that killed me that one time. Him and I have that history where he won me he didn't, but he won a full tournament matchup by making the cut and the opponent didn't, but then he signed the wrong scorecard and end up they graded the play the other way. So I lost on his stupidity. So Tringale and I have a complicated history to begin with, but I'm not as keen on him as I was in years, probably just year past. If I had to go long shot, deep bomb, Hail Mary, it's going to be from Team No Putt for sure. That's just where those guys are going to come with. Find me a guy with super high upside off the approach game who can just fucking scorched earth second shots for 4 days. Matthew Neesmith, he has a big fat number.
Yeah.
He has a few of these tournaments. If you go back and look, when he did well at the Valspar, it was 100% tee to green, and he just had a little bit of putt luck, ended up in the top 10 there. That's a guy who has a big fat number who, if you wanted a nasty long shot that might be in the thick of things, he's going to be 150, 200, depends where you look. I'd say at least 150 is where I'd want to find him if I was going to throw a few dollars on him.
I can't bet the outright. If you look at no, he has similar range here. If you look at the form, and actually, again, when looking at some of that, I don't want to overrate one bucket of statistics, but again, that's 175 to 200 range plus a little bit of form. If you look at what's happened the last couple of times out, this guy is back-to-back top 20s. Again, one's the Valero, one's Corrales, so it doesn't matter as much. But a T27 at the Valspar, a T7 in Puerto Rico pops really well in this range, and it is Nate Lashley. So probably a finishing position bet, maybe a top 40 that you can get it, more than 2-1 on Lashley. He's a little interesting. Again, to Jeff's point, a name that would fit nicely in the, in the historical winners here if something ever happened. But again, I'm not taking the outright there. Wise is my dart down here, but Lashley is playing pretty decent and can strike it there when he needs to. So he probably find his way in the card. Nasty Nate.
Nasty Nate. I knew a guy in real life who was called Nasty.
Hard.
Nate.
I mean, listen. How do you take shots at any course where the last few winners have been like Kodaira and Pan and
Sink?
It's I guess if you have the belief in a guy, this is it. I kind of do feel like to only counteract that is the field strength of this event feels like it's progressively just getting better.
Yeah,
as the year. So maybe upper tier board is due at this course, but yeah, I mean, there are a lot of this isn't to knock any bets, but this is the type of course where it feels like anyone's game is live and you could just sort of bank on those second shot players and the models can spit out these sorts of names. And I guess go at it. Like if you believe in the form or any of that stuff, Anirban Lahiri plays like the prototypical profile game to a lot of these past winners.
Yeah, did it on a P die track, obviously at Sawgrass. So yeah, can't hate that. 180 on DraftKings, best number.
Huge, wow.
Yeah. The score a little bit better. 18-5.
We're back to that again. And again, like I think to Jeff's point, like there's going to be a lot of that narrative, like the 3 of the last 5 winners are just super big numbers, but it is getting to be a better field. And just go look at the leaderboard from last week at a tougher course with a tougher field. And some of these names are going to be funny because I don't know if we should include them based on their price, but look at the top 20 at Augusta and who's here: Cam and Morikawa and Connors and Thomas and Im and Dustin and Fitzpat, and I guess we have to put Charles Schwartzel in that bucket because he did top 10. He played
Danny
well.
Willett.
Danny Willett was there.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Na was in that top 20. If we give up, we'll go dead heat and we'll give it to a couple of these other guys who were there. Fleetwood, Kokrak's in the field, correct?
Yeah.
Yes,
he's here.
It's sort of being totally overlooked, like he was at the Masters, to be perfectly honest, especially even from a DFS perspective.
Fleetwood, Harry Higgs. Harry Higgs was a top 20 with the T14. He is here. So like a lot of guys who played really well at a tough tournament, and then just some massive names are still here. So I don't know if it's like, you should never bank on like, oh man, we're just going to keep hitting super big long shots.
Yeah,
so, I said, like when I do darts, I'm going to take what I would bet on an outright, split it up between like those 5 darts. That's what I did that's what I did at match play with Power. Like Seamus got a very small amount of money and fucker almost got there for me.
I'm pretty cold right now. Florida wasn't kind. We've come out of Florida and still, it's golf outright betting. So prepared for it, but I'm not going to change how I like to bet these events. And it's that 30 to 70 to 1. Maybe I go like, cause I am still thinking about a few of those guys under 30, so maybe I'll make a move on one of them. But yeah, I'm not just chasing a long shot here. I don't care. I'll swing and miss doing what I do, and I'm impressed by so many of the field strength, and I got too many options in that in the 20 to 70 to 1. I know that's a wide margin, but I've got too many betting options in that range to think that I'm going to be playing behind it.
I completely agree. It's loaded. I will probably play one of DJ, Fitz, or Lowry. And that might be it from an outright standpoint. I'll hold with the burger. I kind of will, feel good about having someone in every bucket with, Burger, Hadwin, and then kind of the Hail Mary on Wise. But, let the finishing positions and matchups do the rest of the work for me, and hopefully can also get off the Schneid here and find an outright. So maybe it's Hoagie. I mean, I'm going to have a hard time not getting Hoagie here at 80. Yeah. I think I'm going
to have a lot more top 20, top 30 bets than I normally would. I'm going to go shopping after this. I haven't really placed anything yet. I like to wait until a few books are up and a few books have kind of reset and shook out.
Yeah.
But I was just DMing Cal. Lowry, Mito, Henley, Connors, DJ.
Andy, I know you like
That's
to
what we'll do.
brown bag it and get a bit of everything. You have any like soccer tips for me today?
Oh, you're a day late. Like my
See, I don't know anything.
my
Did I-
co-host yesterday, he's like, shit, Andy, there's no NBA today. There's no women's tennis. Those are his wheelhouses. I don't bet baseball or ice hockey. He's like, we might not have picks today. I said, fuck it. We'll just talk about the NBA play-in tournament. We'll talk about the Masters, whatever. And partway through, I realized that I bet some Turkish soccer. So we gave it out yesterday. Just one
I meant like
single
TV.
pick.
I meant like Champions League soccer.
No,
I don't care for
wanna bet
Turkish
that.
soccer.
That's hard. Like Turkish soccer.
Yeah, but that
We-
stuff's
we
on
gave-
TV, bro.
We gave out the 2.5. That it was a
He's laid
5
up,
I
Andy.
think-
He wants
no,
to watch something and
I
sweat.
think it was a 4-goal first half. Like Turkish soccer's where the money's at, Jeff. Man. I mean, if you just want to make a donkey bet, like you got Bayern Munich down on aggregate. They lost their first match to Villa. They're home. They're one of the most dangerous squads ever.
Hey,
They
so
have
parlay
Villa-
that with Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, just Munich team total over. Like that's got to be 2.5. I'll have to go look at the odds. Now I'm gonna fucking bet Champions League because it's
Sorry, that's my fault.
Real Madrid, Chelsea. I don't know which one are you gonna watch.
I don't
Isn't there
know.
like OHL on at that time? Don't you guys have hockey up there to pay attention to? Watch the Regina fucking slapjacks taking on a team from Waterloo.
There isn't, but I guarantee you on one of our main sports networks there'll be like afternoon curling. I guarantee it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got a guy who goes to Waterloo Blackhawk games up there. He's fully in. I don't even know which league that is. That sounds like juniors, I think. Like there's people that go to juniors hockey games. It's a whole big thing up there. So we'll just stick with curling. I can actually watch that.
When I spend irresponsibly, it's in the golf markets with donkey finishing position parlays. FanDuel, top 40. You can grab Lowry, Fitz, and Berger to top 40. And it's plus 380. So they allow you to do that now. It is a beautiful thing. Do it responsibly. I'm trying to stay into like the 2 and 3 guy matchups. But again, like it is very enticing. It was a very profitable venture. With the Masters, I like it more with the Masters 90-person field where really 75 are viable.
That's where I didn't yell at you. I'm like,
Yeah.
the 150-person field is hard. Again, a little smaller field. It is 130 here, so
yeah, invitational. So we're a little smaller. So yeah, no, I'm gonna be responsible, but I did dabble a little bit when I saw some of that again, and I'll probably make I'll grab a handful of guys and run some round robin 2-mans to basically get plus numbers into the plus 150, plus 200 range. And again, there'll be all guys I'm considering putting outrights on anyway. So it's just going to be guys I like. And thanks to our friends at FanDuel for that, because you cannot do that anywhere else. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen.
Let's call it a day. Thanks again for joining us, Jeff. We'll get you back to the couch for some afternoon curling and soccer.
This is actually a spike progress week.
Okay.
I like it.
How you're hoping your bet has a spike putting week. I'm having a spike progress week.
Jeff building up for the next major. He's like, again, we're done to Tiger's healthy. He's back. He's fine. We've moved on to Feinberg watch to see will Feinberg be able to walk Tulsa?
I don't know. No, jeez.
Well, we got to get him stateside for our late summer BetSperts golf outing.
This is true. How far is Chicago from? I don't know Canadian.
Not far.
Geography.
It's not far.
You can fly.
I like that a lot, actually. Yeah.
All right, you guys. If you watched in the YouTube, hit the thumbs up. If you listen to the podcast, leave me a review, for Christ's sakes. Follow us on Twitter if you're not. Go check out betspurtsgolf.com for all of Ryan's picks later. You get in the Discord too if you want. There's a ton in there. And should we call it, guys?
Sounds good, buddy.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.